All right. You're on speaker now. All right. This is the first episode of the Hassan Palomo podcast, and probably going to be on my YouTube page. I'm talking with a what would I say? Unanimous caller that I'm very close to, and we're talking about the riots in Baltimore. So go on.
So did you have questions for me, or do you want me to just go through my little...
No. Go through your speech or whatever.
Okay. I believe that the riots were a phenomenally productive thing. To start with, you don't really take into consideration that none of that shit belonged to those people that are tearing it up. Because if that was Aunt Bootsy's store, yeah, Tyrone or Lamar would come out and be like, yeah, this shit's gonna have to come to an end right quick. You ain't burning down my auntie's spot.
Well, actually, that did happen. That was that happened a lot. Like, there was a lot of black people who, like, they knew the store owners and stuff, and what they did do was they would stand in and they would, like, help protect the stores. So, like, that wasn't really reported a lot in with the media, but, like, it did happen. Like, a lot of little Facebook sources, brought it to people's attention and stuff. So, like, it was there. Some of that did happen, but then again, some people just didn't know better. There's also, like, some people that came out of town that participated in the riots. So that was an issue in and of itself, too.
Well, like I said, you know what? They're tearing up shit that don't belong to any of them.
Yeah, that's true.
If it belonged to them, they would treat it differently. And that's one of the points that people miss. They're like, oh, they're tearing up their neighborhood. That shit is not their neighborhood. That shit belongs to a little old white Jewish guy from, way miles away.
Yeah.
He's going to be affected by that. He's going to file his little insurance claim, and that'll be the end of that. Yeah,
he belongs to the part of the HBO show The Wire that they didn't do a season about, which they should have. But what do you call it? The HBO show The Wire was actually about Baltimore, and it covered, like, every part that the drug trade touches. And, I don't think it touches that Jewish guy. It might have touched his daughter. They might have touched up on that a bit. But, like, you're absolutely right. It's not their stuff. But I also don't think that they should have done it either, because it really wasn't very productive. Another thing I want to bring up, you notice, like, 2 out of the 3 cops were black, and there was even a black woman involved. Like, what's your take on that?
Well, 3 of the 6 of them were black.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to be a provocative statement, but I believe you cannot be good and be a cop.
No.
I know that sounds provocative. The first thought is, well, this guy's anti-police. No. How can anybody in their right mind see other police officers, the people that they're supposed to be working with, do wrong and turn them in? They can't.
Nope.
So what ends up happening is, by definition, they're in collusion with these people.
Yeah.
There's a group of people that are like, you know what, this is wrong. I'm not getting involved in this. They get ostracized, they get pushed out, or they quit. So now you really only have 2 groups of people. You have the bad cops and the colluders, and then you have the good, soon to be ex-cops. And so my statement, all cops are bad, is self-evident. Do you disagree with this?
Yes, I do, but only marginally. Because, it's the whole, you can't say all this or all that is that. But what it is that there are a lot of cops, and it's a very common theme where, cops get this, like, mob mentality. They have that whole us against them. And, they're like, nobody's ever going to take our side if we mess up, so we have to be our own people. So, like yes, it's a common, thought that a cop is very close to a criminal, in that they will do whatever they want to do, and, like, now they just have the authority to not be stopped. So that's a very common thing that happens a lot too.
Here's a thought experiment, if you will.
Go for it.
Say you're a cop. A thought experiment.
Mm-hmm.
You're a cop, right?
Yeah.
And your brother's also on the force. Your cousin, it doesn't matter who it is. And they're selling drugs. how much drugs do they move before you turn them in?
The true and the correct right answer should be immediately, but at the same time, there is the whole turning a blind eye thing to it as well. Where it's like, you don't want to turn your brother in. You don't want to see that person and work with goes to jail. You don't want this guy who Lord knows when might have your back, or you might need him to have your back sometime. And there's been cases where cops have just let their fellow cops get just beat up or murdered even because they didn't want to go to a scene fast enough, or they didn't want to jump in hard enough to help their partner because that person is going to rat them out, or that person rat them out in the past. So that's an issue in and of itself right there.
No, that's not an issue in of itself. That is the issue.
Yeah.
Because they are a gang, and the mentality is that us against them, they are no longer serving the greater good. They are of zero value. Police officers do not prevent crime. They attempt to stop and investigate crime. They don't patrol like they used to. They drive around in their car, but I mean, how many times do you ever see, things go on when you're driving? You don't. You're doing your thing. You're driving. You're talking about, the wife and the kids and whatnot. You're not paying attention unless you have a personal bias. You see Tyrone down the street and you want to, you know what? Let's go see if Tyrone's into something today.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Keith is not going to get stopped. Not because Keith is not any more or less criminal than Tyrone, but because of Keith's skin tone.
Yeah, that's true. That gets covered a lot on the Young Turks as well. And it's true. Just like there's even surveys that compare smoking weed to teenagers and teenagers of colors. It turns out that it's the same with white and the same with black people. Just that the blacks get pulled over a little bit more, and then they get caught with the weed more, and the white kids not as much. And I can tell you from personal experience that is damn true. Damn true. Some of my white friends really should be locked up. My white friends should be locked up. I'm just saying that right now. And the black kids, they get pulled over because they're black. It's just how it goes. Hell, I saw some stuff go down at the mall, Lawton Mall the other day, where these guys, they were obviously getting harassed because they were black. And I saw it with my fucking two eyes. I'm like, yo, you didn't stop these other two kids. And also, the kids, they didn't look like they had much money, to be honest with you, either. So that's another reason that they got thrown out the mall for supposedly curfew. It was 7 o'clock on a Saturday, and they're getting kicked out of the mall for curfew. And then what do you call it? These other kids, they just want to use the bathroom. I've seen me and my friend, we just walked in and just used the bathroom. We're two Hispanic guys. We just walk in and go take a piss. But these black kids, he was with his damn family. These black people, this black family walks to go use the bathroom, and then they're getting questioned by the people. It's come on, man. Dude, that's just messed up. But it's like you said, it is true, and that actually does happen.
Well, I think that there should be more things that minorities do where they exclude white people, or whenever they have their protests and things like that, go do it in a white neighborhood.
Oh yeah, they should. They really should. I believe that.
Yeah, the Occupy Wall Street movement, their mistake wasn't that they stood outside and protest. Their mistake was that they didn't shut down the stock exchange for a day. If they had done that, there would be immediate jail time for bankers. Because the people with the power, as long as they're not affected, they're not going to do anything. Let them stand there and talk till we get tired, then we'll go bust their heads.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's how the thing works, is you have have to make it a horrible, bitter existence for the people you want to change something. Otherwise, they won't.
Oh, that's
They
true.
have no reason to.
Yeah, but then again, at the same time, when you start really doing stuff, that's technically considered terrorism. And once you really start terrorizing people, you're almost authorizing any kind of use of force. And I mean any kind. Like, I mean, hell, they were just throwing, what do you call it, tear gas because they were on the street. Imagine if they were actually digging into these people's pockets. Yeah, sure, it might have been a stop. But you know what else would have happened? A lot of people would have got killed. Leaders would have got murdered, and they would have done it with the whole world watching because you're on TV. They've just murdered this economic terrorist that's about to bring down the whole America. I mean, hell, we had banks that are too big to fail because America would crash if they failed. So if you think you hurting the stock exchange for one day, that's not just that place. That's not just New York. That's the whole world that would be affected. That's the whole country that would be affected. Yes, it would cause some change, and they would get shook up when stuff start getting loud and out of hand. But at the same time, you're authorizing the big boys to really put their hands on you. So that's what do you It's almost, is it really worth the risk?
I like how you say that, but here's the problem. The big boys already put their hands on people.
Oh, yeah.
They just put it on the minorities. They have a stranglehold on minorities. And because they wear soft gloves, we think that they're holding back. Black people get killed by the cops all the time. Let's just get it over with. Let's just get a bunch of them killed all at one time and have the thing change.
That's true.
Because otherwise, them taking us off onesies and twosies at a time, shit will never change.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, here's something else you also gotta look at too. That onesies and twosies thing you talk about, it's gotten way bad. Because here's another thing, and I try to.
It hasn't gotten way bad. It's been like that for a long time.
No, but let me tell you how it's gotten way bad and way worse. They're killing white people now. White people are getting murdered by the cops now. So they've gradually gotten away with it so much that now they could kill almost anybody. They could do anything to anybody. It's like I always say on the conservative posts I always post on, the white people should protest the police instead of, blaming the black guys. How about you protest the police too? Once they start protesting, some shit might really get done because the cops now have gone way too far at this point, and they're possibly even going to go further if nothing is ever really done to them, like you're saying. Police, I guess, emboldenment. They've gotten so emboldened that they don't care anymore. They think they're above everybody now. It's not just a little minority. It's the poor people. Pretty soon they're going to start doing it to rich people and get away with it, and that's when shit might hopefully hit the fan.
They're not going to ever do it to rich people because their bosses answer to the rich people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's a system of suppression. The white people may be starting to experience it, but that's because the white people are slipping into a lower class. The bulk of the middle class was made up of white people. The problem is not that the middle class is shrinking.
Yeah.
A larger proportion of white people are moving into the lower class, and so they're going to be the ones that get their fall under the thumb of the cops.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, in reality, the problem is that there is no recourse for minorities when something goes wrong. They could decide tomorrow, you know what, we're going to enslave all minorities. And you have two choices. You can oppose it or get the fuck out the country. If you oppose it, you better be prepared to take an ass whooping.
Oh, yeah. Well, one thing that's kind of holding all that back is there are actually a lot of minorities that have money and can actually fight. That's one of the main reasons that hasn't really stepped up. They also have influence, but the sad part is a lot of these like rich, minorities, I guess I'm just gonna say it, a lot of these rich black people have their money from keeping the rest of the blacks down. So like that's kind of what's keeping them, from just keeping them rich to start with. So like I don't believe that could happen, at least not so fast, but it can happen gradually.
Yeah, I believe the thing is a little bit more complicated than just that. I believe that, like take for instance, when you work at a store,
yeah.
And your supervisor's bonus is based on your performance. Well, your supervisor will do everything they possibly can to maximize getting performance out of you. None of it includes incentives for you.
That's true.
There are almost always disincentives. You show up to work. If you work hard, but they don't hit their goal, something's still wrong. Now you have to work harder and harder. And the harder you work, the more profitable it is for them. The entire system, essentially, is flawed.
Yeah, but capitalists, who truly believe it, like who truly believe the way capitalism should and could work, is that if you incentivize the workers, that they will work harder. Supposedly, that's the ideal system of capitalism. So, like, it's kind of hard to, sell that idea to someone who believes that capitalism 100% works the way it should.
No. That is capitalism. The thing that you might be glossing over is that incentives don't have to be positive.
Oh yeah.
You can say, as an example, make it so that minimum wage isn't enough to live on, and that will force people to work harder.
Yep.
Nobody really thinks about this, but yeah, how the hell else are they going to live? They have to put in more effort than they did just to stay where they are.
Yep.
And I think that's a level of mentality people don't see. They think things are getting harder. No, they're just getting harder for us. They're not getting harder for the people on the top.
Right.
My supervisor doesn't have to work harder. He just has to find it within himself to kick somebody in the ass to make sure they put out extra effort. I mean, you can be mad at him for wanting to hit his goals and things like that. Or you can see the thing for what it is. You can always argue somebody could get a different job. But this is a system that is, it's infecting, it's progressing till this is going to be a situation where everybody is under this boot. The supervisor will one day be under this boot.
Oh yeah. But I also gotta ask. So when they do win, because I hear California is like supposedly raised the minimum wage, and Seattle and a lot of cities have actually raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Like, how do you explain when they actually do win? Like, what's your take on that?
I don't understand your question.
Like, people actually have won. People have actually raised the minimum wage. Like, why does that happen, do you think? Or what's your explanation on that?
I think that happened because the people on the top are not as pressed. Places like Seattle, you'll notice that it's communities with smaller groups that get all the new changes. You would think that higher population density would mean change happens faster in terms of political movements and economy and things like that. But it's actually the other way around. And it's not because the smaller ones are easier to change. It's because the voice of the individual is stronger in a small group than it is in, say, somewhere like LA, where you have 38 million people or 8 million people in LA. You'd have to get a substantial amount of these people to align in order to make any real change. An example being minimum wage. First of all, if you make more than minimum wage, when minimum wage catches up to you, it's insulting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And the issue that some people have is that they would suppress minimum wage because now they'll be making minimum wage.
Oh yeah.
No, we can't raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. That means